board's indulgence, I think next presentation, Ms. Bell is going to come forward and give us a presentation on the Leader in Me program that they're looking at. So what we're going to do is combine, so they don't have to stay. They also have a fundraising request later on. So I've talked to Ms. Bell, and we're just going to combine those into one. That meets the approval of the board.
Mr. Chairman, if you would do one formality
Sure.
for me, please. I missed the opportunity to ask you to please take a vote on excusing Ms. McCall and Ms. Evans from
Okay.
the meeting.
Right.
If you would,
We didn't mention, I don't think Missy was sick.
Yeah, that's my fault. John, thank you. Yeah, we couldn't be here tonight. Ms. Evans has suffered from the flu, and as she said, she would come and she'd love to see us, but I don't think we didn't love her that much. She didn't need to come and bring the germs with her, so we passed on her. And Stephanie's daughter isn't playing the ball game tonight, so we knew she would not be here also. So both of those were, as far as I'm concerned, were explaining excuses. So I understand the motion that we do refuse our two absent members from the meeting tonight. So second, and most second, all in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. So moved.
Good evening. So I'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity tonight to speak to you about a school transformation model that we at Iowa Valley have become pretty excited about, and that is the Leader in Me. So the Leader in Me is a program that is based on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Covey. And over the past several years at Iowa Valley, we have done some studying and some reflection and thinking about where we want to take our school. So we started the Leader in Me program 10 years ago at A.B. Combs Elementary in Raleigh, North Carolina. And that started with a magnet school that was told you're going to have to close down unless you can come up with something to draw in students. So that principal talked to Dr. Covey and said, would these habits be taught to students? And he basically said to her, I don't know, why don't you try it? And so she did, and that school met with great success. At Iowa Valley, we started 5 years ago with a book study, reading the book, The Leader in Me. And then from that time, we started going to schools that were implementing The Leader in Me. And we saw several things in those schools that we liked. And some of those things that we saw were students were taking responsibility for their work. They were showing initiative. They were setting goals for themselves, which ties in perfectly with our high school graduation. You know, these kids, we look at our students and we want them to set those goals for high school graduation and then furthering their education. These students build confidence in themselves, and while we have some students at our school that are confident, this is a model that teaches all students to value what it is about themselves that makes them special. The schools that have implemented Leader in Me have been able to show a decrease in office referrals, which as a principal is always nice to see. And then they've also shown a rise in test scores, which as a principal and teachers, that's also nice to see. The other thing about this program is it builds a culture, a community. And while Iola Elementary had its own community feel and Cowee School had its community feel, by bringing these two staffs together, that's been something that we've been working hard on. And this is something that our school improvement team has voted this year to put into our school improvement plan to implement this program. I have, as you can see, several members from my faculty that have joined me tonight. These are all members of my launch team, and we have talked very seriously about how we want to continue with this program. So I'm going to turn over to Ms. Jenkins. She's a 4th grade teacher at my school. She's going to talk a little bit about what we've seen in our school visits.
I just wanted to share something that really stuck out in my mind. Last year there was a group of us that visited Sugarloaf Elementary in Hendersonville, and I think they were in their 3rd year of implementation at that time. And it was just so impressive to see the students feeling like they had control of themselves. The biggest impression was the data notebooks that each student had. They each had a binder to keep track of all their math and reading data, their personal and academic goals, and their achievements. But the impressive part was how they presented that information to us. They collected all the data. They looked at it. They set their goals from that data, both personal and academic. They reflected on it. They made changes if necessary. And they pushed themselves past the point of classroom expectations. And while they were sharing this with us, it was so obvious that because of all of the goals and the leadership program that was all over the school, that they had a sense of pride, and you could tell that they had that desire to be that leader that we want all of our students to be. And the staff attributed that considerably to the resources and the guidance and the tools and the support that they received from the Leader in Me program. And to me, it was just amazing to see the students take the ownership of their own learning in that way. That was what it was. Thank you.
Next, I have Ann Wigan, one of our PE teachers, with graduation.
I'm in my 30th year in Macon County, in between Iowa and Cowie School. I am so proud to be a part of that family. As Ms. Bell said, Cowie had its own family, Iowa had its family. We have worked very hard to try to bring those two staffs together, and all the other individuals that have come from South Macon and East Franklin. It's been a rough road, but as educators, it is our responsibility and our obligation to set forward this Leader in Me. When you think about 21st century learning skills, Leader in Me, and my background of venture-based learning in the physical education setting, all of them have the same framework: collaborating, teamwork, cooperation, communicating, critical thinking skills, problem solving. All of those are all tied together with Leader in Me. Again, physical education, art, music, guidance, and of course the classroom. We can't do this as individuals. We have to collectively work together in order to make this work. If we don't collectively work together with the support of our board, our teachers, our administrators, and especially our students, we have to support everybody else in education, regardless if you're a student, parent, teacher, admin, or board. So really, really think about where we are, what we're doing, and where we want to go. Because this is our true beginnings in order to bring this community together and stay strong.
Next, I have Pam Shepherd. She's a second grade teacher in Iowa Valley.
She talked about Ms. Jenkins did about the data notebook. I also got to go to Sugarloaf and visit. And one of the things that stuck with me and has since I had gotten to visit there is there was the kids greeted us at the door. It wasn't staff, it wasn't a principal, it wasn't anyone, it was the students of that school. And they're the ones that took us through the school and showed us the things that went on in their school. It wasn't the teacher's school, it wasn't the principal's school, it was the student's school. And the little boy, he was cute. He was very excited to get to tell us all about the school and the things around there. And as he walked us around, he told us that when he started that school, he was scared. He didn't want to go to school there. He did not like to go to school. He he stayed out of school more than he went to school. And then once they incorporated the Leader in Me, he felt like he had a part of his school. And so with that, he never missed school. He was enthusiastic about it, and he talked about how important he felt in his school community. So I feel like when students feel like it's theirs and they're excited to be there, then they'll enjoy coming and they'll work harder academically. And when we have our students working harder academically, then as teachers, our scores go up. And then that makes us a stronger school as we bring in everyone together in the community. Our students feel like they're part of it. And one thing that we have started doing also that they talked about is our kids have to fill out job applications right now. And so that's a skill that you don't think a lot about. But for these first graders, second graders, third graders, and fourth graders, filling out job applications and then being called to be interviewed by the person in that school that want them to work for that 9 weeks is something that we are giving to our community. We're getting them ready for that job interview and those applications and being filled out correctly. So at Iowa Valley, we want to see our students succeed to their potential.
Next I have Rebecca Schofield, fourth grade math.
As you know, I taught with Nancy Breedlove for 5 years at MDI, and I wanted to bring a personal perspective of what we saw, what leaders may think we for students. And I could stand up here and tell you story after story of the impact that we saw. But I had a note that I held on to that a student wrote me last year of what leader me meant to her. And I want to share it. It said, Miss Talley, you've taught me how to use the 7 habits wherever I go. Lately, I have found myself being a leader in my community. For example, on my basketball team, all the girls have been coming without their shoes or clothes on so they can go to the bathroom to change. When they are in there, they often fool around, which is not making our team any better. So I go in there and tell them the time so that they can be ready when practice starts. I wanted to thank you for teaching and demonstrating leadership to me. I can only imagine the impact that we could make as a school if we had 400 students who were taught all these habits, and not only the impact they could make at our school, but the impact that they could make in our community. And that's why I'm obviously so passionate about leading. Thank you.
Next I have Ms. Megan Peck, my assistant principal.
Just as a side note before I jump into what I'm supposed to talk about, this is my first year at Iowa. And one of the things that I noticed right off the bat when I started there was how passionate the teachers and Ms. Bell are for Leader and Me. That was one of the first things when Ms. Bell and I first started talking about this job was, this is what we do, you know, and we want to take this to the next level. So this has been an ongoing conversation at the school for a long time. But so as you can see, we've requested several things in order to raise money. We have a lot of ideas. So the fundraising we will be doing to implement Leader, we will cover 4 days of professional development for our entire faculty and staff, teacher and student materials to implement the program and then build upon that initial implementation, online resources which include training for teachers and students, networking with other schools, which is obviously very important, student leadership curriculum, and tools for assessing the growth and impact of Leader and Me in our school. It gives us the intellectual property license, which allows us to use their product. A consultant on call for support, improvement, and troubleshooting, which will also address if we have teacher turnover, retraining or training our new teachers that do come in. All of that, the total cost of implementing Leader and Me is $84 a student, which is 1% of 1 semester of tuition at Raven Gap School. So it's pretty minimal to have such a huge impact. And our goal, like everyone else has said, is not only to build leaders in our school, but also to incorporate that into our community and to incorporate our community into our school. So that being said, we would like to invite all of you, to our community event, which will be March 21st this coming year. It will be at Iowa at 6 o'clock. Ms. Bell will be giving you a folder here shortly that has a save the date in that. We would love to see all of you there. And this will be our major kickoff into fully implementing Leader in Me in the 2017-2018 school year, if you approve our fundraising efforts.
The last person that we wanted to have speak on our behalf is Nancy Breedlove, who has also has a passion for 7 habits and teaching students these habits, these principles at NBI.
So really my role in this is just to share and give a perspective from Mountain View Intermediate School and what it means for our school with the implementation of 7 habits or Leader in Me at Iowa Valley. They infiltrate our school. So their students will feed into Mountain View, and they would come into our school already with a leadership paradigm. They would already have this leadership lens that they're looking through as they come into our school. The last couple of years, and I had mentioned to Ms. Bell that I would share these 2 stories of just student leadership. I think that's really the goal of the Leader in Me, is that earlier we've already been talking about that a lot of the things that happen inside the classroom is much more than reading and writing and math and science. It is looking for places for students to live. It is touching base with families and making sure that they have the care that they need at home. A lot of it really is looking into their home lives. And the purpose of Leader in Me, the value that I find in Leader in Me, is that we're teaching students and giving them an opportunity to be a leader of themselves and to lead themselves out of some of the situations that they find themselves in. One example. I had a student several years ago, and this young man's name was Dylan. Dylan saw that my bookshelf was broken and just out of time and the lack of time and the lack of, I don't know, to get up and fix it. Dylan saw that my bookshelf was broken, and he came to me and asked me if I was going to fix it. And I said to him, well, I just do not have time to fix this bookshelf. Can you take leadership of that? And that's all I had to say. Those words of offering the student to take leadership of something and make it his own. And I had no idea what his plan was to fix this bookshelf. So he looked over at the bookshelf and messed around with it later. I saw him take the clasp or whatever, I don't know what the shelf sits on. He needed 4 of them. There was only one. And so he took one and stuck it in his pocket. I said, what are you doing? And he said, well, I need to tell the custodians that I need 3 more of these, but I don't see them again until we go to the cafeteria to eat lunch. That's when I see the custodians. So he'd already thought forward enough to realize that he needed to have the, I don't know what everything is called, in his pocket to get the custodians to get that for him. He took care of that. Later that afternoon, 4 of them were sitting in my classroom, and I just told Dylan and said, hey, these are in my classroom. He came over and left Grandma out in the parking lot waiting for him to pick him up so he could fix my bookshelf. I did not touch that bookshelf. I did not touch the books. It was a need that a student recognized that needed to be fixed. And he, just by me offering him the chance to take leadership of that, he took it and fixed that bookshelf. Another student was, when we had our leadership day at Mountain View, a couple years ago, I guess, we had a student named Tatum. Well, first of all, our goal was to give every student an opportunity to share with some adult, whether it was their guardian, whether it was a community member. Many of you have been there before and have served as an adult to just partner with our students to allow them to look through the data notebook and have them tell an adult, this is where I am, these are my goals, this is my plan of meeting these goals. So we had lots of people come, and just as many as you, I think you would agree that whenever you know that Dr. Baldwin's going to come and partner with a student, would you not put your best hand-selected one up there? They would. They won't say it, but they would. So we did the same thing. We had hand-selected the one that Dr. Baldwin was going to be partnered with. The day before
our leadership day, our little guy came to us and said, my mama said that he's the boss, and I'm not gonna be partnered with him. So he chickened out on me. And so just kind of I flipped down the list. It was crunch time. I didn't have time to worry about who was what, and so I just told this little guy, Miss Tally and I were working Miss Schofield and I were working together closely as teammates, and we grabbed this little guy and said, hey, listen, tomorrow you're going to be partnered with Dr. Baldwin. He's going to be your adult that you share your goals with, your grades with, and at that point he goes, but he's going to be partnered with you tomorrow. And so Tatum, the next day he comes, we're ready to invite our guests to come down to the hallway, and I see Tatum come towards me, and he is decked out. He is in his collared shirt, his tie, he is ready to impress his school superintendent and the adult that's going to pour into him. As our guests came and we had our leadership day, we had students talking to adults that they never even met, that these are my grades and these are my goals and this is how I'm going to do this. These were skills that they were practicing, those soft skills that I mentioned just a minute, the handshaking, looking at an adult in the eye, being able to speak to them. So as all this was going on, I kind of lost the fact that Tatum was here and he was not our handpicked, and we really wanted it to really go well, and it was just a moment where we were just caught up in the celebration of student leadership. The next day, Tatum comes to me, jogs my memory, to ask him, how did it go yesterday with Dr. Baldwin? And of course I'm going, what'd he say? What'd you say? What did he say? And he goes, Miss Breedlove, you know the man that I was partnered with yesterday? And I'm, yes. And he said, he looked at my grades and he saw that I had a C. And he asked me what I was going to do about it. And I told him I was going to work hard, but he told me I could do it. And he said he was going to check back in on me. And I said, buddy, he's checking on you, he's checking in on me. But that meant something to Tatum. After that day, and Ms. Schofield can attest to this, that after that day, Tatum was more involved, much more of an active learner in our classroom settings. He was much more involved. He was much more willing to raise his hand and ask questions because he knew somebody was going to check in on him. Someone was holding him accountable for that goal he had set. Someone had invested in him. And that was our goal, was to give students the opportunity to practice the leadership skills that we had already invested in them, and to give them an opportunity to practice those with adults that they may have never known. That's what Iowa Valley is trying to do, and they are going to be able to do that through the process of Leader in Me, because the process doesn't end when they're in the 4th grade. And when they finish and graduate Iowa Valley, the process is not over. Instead, they come to Mountain View, where we're still going to be able to give them opportunities of leadership. We're still going to be able to give them opportunities to practice the soft skills that our area employers are saying that a lot of the young employees that they have do not have the soft skills that they would like to see. The skill of shaking a hand, the skill of sliding the cell phone away to greet a customer as they walk in, the skill of being able to speak confidently to someone and look them in the eye when they're speaking. Those soft skills that we want our high school graduates to have as they enter the workforce, we want to begin practicing those at Mountain View if they're not already practicing them at Iowa Valley. So the value of the Leader in Me process goes far beyond that, $84? It goes far beyond the $84 a student, because that's just within their setting. That investment in those students pours into Mountain View, which then goes into the middle school and then into the other schools beyond. So I really feel like this is a value, it's truly a penniless investment into Iowa Valley students, but also the students of Macon County schools.
Got a question? Sure. In Iowa Valley, what grade do you start them in?
Well, we have pre-K through fourth grade. So,
I wasn't in this one pre-K.
so pre-K has not been attended before, but the schools that we visited, Captain Gardner's, all the way up through sixth graders, depending on the school that we visited. We visited Avery's Creek, Estes Elementary, Sugarloaf, Dana Elementary, Weaverville Elementary, Weaverville Primary, and then Coons Intermediate. All of those schools in this area. And so I guess I liken it to when Muriel asked Dr. Covey, can this be done in an elementary? I guess my question is, can we teach some of these skills to our pre-K? I think we probably could.
Anyone else?
I don't have anyone else. I do have, so in this folder is the investment summary from Franklin Covey. And you might ask, why can you not do this program without the investment? And last year when our third grade team went and visited Sugarloaf, all along through this 5 years that we've been looking at this program, and we've been trained by Nancy in the 7 habits, we have kind of thought, this is really expensive. We don't know if this is something that we can bite off and fundraise for. But when our third grade team visited Sugarloaf, they spoke with that staff and realized it's more than just the language, that it really has to do with the professional development, changing that mindset of the adults first before we can change that mindset of the students and our parents and our community. And we felt like they came back and said, this is bigger than what we thought it was, and we're going to need some help. And so that's when we started communicating with Chad Smith at Franklin Covey and had him come and do just a quick afternoon faculty meeting with our staff. And he's kind of guided us along the way. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm going to do one last question, so I'm going to stay.
You got it.
I do have to ask a couple of questions.
Of course.
Just go along the way. And it's the financial person that comes out, so
I
just bear with
understand.
me. Go there.
And launch team, feel free
Right.
to assist.
Well, I actually got threatened by my wife when I came. I told her y'all was making the presentation night, and she told me if I was negative about it, I probably shouldn't even come home, so I'm going to keep my bed. Go ahead and put that out there. This is a proprietary system, is that right?
Correct.
So ongoing, how much would it be for a new teacher to actually experience? How much cost would that incur?
So, they have changed their models this year, and that investment summary kind of overviews back on page 5, I think. It shows the breakdown. They charge what's called a membership fee. So our first initial year is all of that, those 4 days of professional development, the coaching. Each year after that, the cost decreases, but included in that membership cost, that includes any training for any new staff. So if next year I had a big turnover and I had, gosh, I hope not, what the other thing the principals are saying is it helps with retention of teachers. But regardless of how many new staff members I would have, that would include that membership fee, includes the training.
Unfortunately, you have to do that, Bill. It's not something you just pass out to the other students.
Right.
They have covered themselves.
Correct.
Of course,
Ms. Bill, the total is $35,000.
For this first year, yes.
What happens if you're unable to raise the total amount this first year? What's your backup plan for raise that total amount?
Our backup plan would be to continue to fundraise until we can raise that money.
And we are already implementing parts of it, what we can do right now. And I mean, it is good. The students, you can see that leadership there. And I think regardless of what happens, that will continue to happen. This will just give us opportunity to take it to a bigger scale, better.
And our PTO met last Monday night, and I told them about this presentation. I've invited them to join. On January 5th, we have an advanced coaching day where we really kind of get to lay out what our timeline will be with the consultant, talk about some of the barriers that we have at our school. And I would love for board members to come by. If you could stay all day, that'd be wonderful. If you want to just drop in, I will send that information to Renee as well. Cowie Baptist has graciously offered a room in their facility for us to use called the Hub. So it will be all the members of my faculty that you see here today. They're part of my launch team. And then PTO members will be there as well. I'd love for some district representation to come and just see what this is about. But I think we're pretty determined in raising money. And as Nancy Breedlove has said, she raises $45,000 every year to send kids to Washington, D.C. And I think when you look at raising future leaders, the long-term impact, I think we can do it.
I think the dedication of what we have right here in this room present speaks very volumes of the dedication that we have to implement this, and then we're going to go at it straight ahead without even thinking twice about doing it, because we believe in this concept, leader in me, because it's our children which are our future. If we don't start instilling that into our students, what are we going to be like in 20 plus years? They're going to be taking care of us. We want the best possible leaders that we can produce out of our elementary to help set NBI, because at NBI, then they're going to reach the other 3 elementaries, and hopefully this will pick up, because it is our future. We are dedicated. We are very passionate about what we do. We have an obligation to give back, and this is a way to give back. Yes, it costs, but everything costs. So let's not get fixed on the bottom line.
To answer your question, I don't think we're fixated on it, but we obviously have to be concerned
Oh,
about it.
I didn't say fixated.
Okay, in terms of that. Please understand where I'm coming from. I've heard things tonight I haven't heard in a long, long time. I hear expressions such as school community, students to succeed, the children buying in, and it's exciting. It really, truly is. And I'm very impressed by the commitment y'all are exhibiting to me that you are willing to undertake this. It speaks volumes. And into this, but that we would have to have something to go through your department with all this, for this and other.
Yes.
That's not going to be an issue, I wouldn't think. But
There is a contract that I am holding right now. I have reserved 3 days at the end of June. In those 10 days of work days that we have at the end of the school year, I have gone ahead and reserved 3 of those days for staff for the first 3 staff training days. Right now, there's no monetary obligation. They do not bill us until after we have that training. Of course, we won't sign up. We won't submit that contract to you all for approval until we feel like we have a good start on our fundraising. But we realize that you all would have to have input on that approval as well, because it's quite an undertaking.
you let me my final question. Thank you for opening the door on that.
You're welcome.
What signatures are there any guarantees required of the board in terms of this? Or are we basically guaranteeing in the fundraising, or is there any type of financial commitment that we, our approval, take on as far as being responsible for?
I don't believe so, but I can certainly forward that contract to Dr. Baldwin for review. Mr.
That's
Henry.
right, yeah, he's.
And I have that, I mean, I do have that contract, so I can send that to him. Right now, we are just asking the permission to select, we do not plan on doing all of these fundraisers. We plan on being just as strategic with our fundraisers as we are with implementation. We want the most bang for our buck and what we're able to accomplish without completely stressing out faculty, students, and parents.
I'll talk about one. As usual, dominating. Tommy, anything? Coach?
Seems good to me. It goes along with some of the other things that we're trying to do to develop young people here. We'll find a part of the community and be able to stay here too.
I'm gonna look at you, John, as I start talking here. Let me say again, the commitment y'all are showing is kind of humbling. I haven't seen this before, and it's nothing against the other schools. Let me make sure that's, maybe I better not repeat that. It comes across I'm saying that or something like that. But the commitment willing to do this is eye-opening. So, as far as permission for them to continue on, John, is that something that we would need to make a motion on? Tell me what we need to go to from
Well, I think the board's practice has always been to approve all your fundraising activities, so I think that, yes, you would want to do that.
I think we actually have two things. One is that we would allow this program to be implemented in one of our school systems, one of our schools in our school system. Would that not be something we would have to do?
Well, I presume, and I haven't had any opportunity to see that agreement, but I presume, other than what's already been implemented as portions of that, they already have some permission to use. I'd have to see what kind of, I don't think we have permission to fully implement the entire program, if I'm understanding it right. And so,
I guess what you're looking for is just permission to proceed and start exploring the options, subject to a review of the contract by Dr. Baldwin and yourself.
yes, I don't see any problem with that at all. I do think that it would be best for something at this scale to, your approval to be conditioned on management of the funds through the central office rather than as a school. I mean, theoretically, you could have run all of this through a school account, but that's an awful lot of both money and keeping up with a lot of different fundraising. That's, a lot of different receipts and things. So I think that needs to be part of your approval. But I see no reason not to approve and grant approval to an ongoing effort to implement this program and to allow us to examine the agreement that would.
So I think we need to do that first. It would be just a motion to approve. Well, we haven't got formal, designated, I don't know, until we get a chance to contract, but at least give our stamp of approval to proceed. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say I wish our whole community could have been in this room tonight to see y'all's enthusiasm and your professionalism and your passion for students, and what an example of what it needs to be a school teacher. Y'all have really shown that, and really you're representative of our whole body of teachers in this county, and we appreciate you.
I'm thinking you're going to lead into the motion that we approved, as we just discussed.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the discussion which you just brought forth, Dr. Henning.
All right, allow them to continue and explore the options. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next thing we're going to do is we will need to get some more information on your fundraisers. I don't think that would a problem in terms of looking at it, so that's my recommendation. We approve all those for you to explore. However, prior to, you will need, Ms. Bell, to do the thing we require on all fundraisers. We want to see, what we'd like to see is projected income, who all is going to be taking part, and the outline, and how you're going to perform. So the only condition we have would be on what we would say. I think we're all good on those, that we will need to see that as we move into the process.
The students will be involved in doing it.
I'm sorry?
The students will be involved in doing their second.
No.
I had started to ask the question, and my wife told me about this too, I'll go ahead and make a comment. I thought I said, I was going to ask about make sure the teachers would be involved in this, but I think that question was answered very quickly, shall we say. As soon as y'all started work, I started talking, so that's the least of my worries. I think it can be a wonderful thing. So, Board, I would take a motion that we approve these, subject to final confirmation of the events that they will choose, that we approve these for them to consider, subject to them bringing the final details on each one that they so choose to implement. Second. Motion second. All in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. So moved. Is there anything else we can do for you guys?
No, I would love to see you at Calvary Baptist Church January 5th, in the hub. And
Okay.
as I said, I will send that out and then the save date for our March meeting.
Great. Again, thank you all. Very impressed, to say the least, and wish you all the luck in the world.